So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the agenda and what we're going to talk about today. So we'll talk about the registration reminder that is coming up pretty soon. Remind everybody about the NCL Discord, kind of show you what that looks like in case you're new to it. And then also talk about the partner pitch day. Also, we'll give you an update on the recruiter pitch day as well. So that'll be the first part of the meeting. Second part is, again, open up. We're going to open this up, put everybody into breakout rooms so that we can all talk together about how we prepare and some of the preparation resources we use for the NCL. So I'm going to have you guys in groups talk about what resources to use, prepare for the games, any other free resources, and how do you organize your resources. So we've definitely talked about this a few times, but it's super important, especially since we will be starting the season soon. And I know we have a few new people on this call and new to the NCL. These resources are important. All right, next. So I know we started off the call without me introducing myself. So if you're new to the call, I'm David Zaitchik. I am the commissioner of the NCL, and also on the call with us, we have Franz and Emily that will also give us some updates. Oh, there's Franz. Hello, Franz.
Hello.
Hello. All right, so let's jump right into the content. So go ahead, Franz, take it away.
All right, so we've given this update for the last few coaches call now, but as a reminder, this is the spring 24 schedule. We're currently in the middle of registration. There are only 2 weeks left for registration, so make sure that you have your students get registered in time for that deadline. As soon as they complete their registration, they will have access to the gym. So the earlier that they get registered, the more time they have to go through the practice. And then we have the practice game, March 25th through the 31st, individual game, April 5th through the 7th, and team game, April 19th through the 21st. So it's shocking that we're already in March. It feels like the year just started. But yeah, things are about to go into full swing. So make sure that you pencil in those dates and you get your students registered. And a quick reminder, if you do need to do bulk registrations for your students, where the school will be purchasing for the students, we do have a new updated registration portal. And the big change here is that instead of getting codes that are only good for the current season, we will apply a balance to your account, and that balance will roll over indefinitely. So you can put in a request for 100 to fund 100 NCL registrations, get that applied as a balance to your account. And then if it turns out you have 75 students actually registered, then the other 25 will get rolled over to the next season. The one thing to keep in mind is that once we generate the codes, they're only good for that season. So if you generate more codes than you need, then you're not able to kind of roll those over. So this is a good way for you to be able to make sure that you have the funds added in there without the stress of getting the exact number of students who are going to be registered for the season. So you can overshoot without that worry. And then another reminder is the NCL Discord. David, were you wanting to
Oh, go ahead.
cover this?
I'll let you start, and then I'll
Okay.
get comments. Thanks.
Okay. So as a reminder, we do have our NCL Discord. You can scan the QR code there. There's also the link that you can grab from the slides. I'll also post that in the chat. But the really important thing with the NCL Discord is it's a great place to have open discussions. A lot of students are there to kind of share ideas. Sometimes they're working on projects they're sharing about. They're getting advice. They're getting feedback. They're making friends. And we provide a lot of important updates. And the big thing that everyone's mostly interested in is at the end of each game, we do a debrief on Discord. So it happens immediately after the game ends, both individual and team game. And it's the best way for your students to get answers to the questions that they have. If they're not sure how to solve one of the challenges, they can join the Discord and they will get kind of the official solution guide that we had as the game creators, but they'll also be able to see what other students did to solve the challenge, because there are many different ways to solve a lot of these challenges. So that's an extremely valuable resource, and would highly recommend it both for yourselves and for your students as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to also add too that part of this within Discord, we do have a coaches channel as well. So that is a great place for us to share things such as the resources that we're going to be talking about today. So I would encourage you that if you are going to share within the Google Doc that we'll provide, if you could also share some of those resources on Discord, that would be tremendous, because I'd like to keep our conversation going after we're done with this 1 hour long call. It'd be nice to be able to continue to talk to each other, throughout, so we don't have to just wait till once a month to share ideas. So please use that coaches server, or I guess coaches channel within the NCL Discord server. All right. Let's go on to the next topic. All right, Emily.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the coaches call. So we had recruiter pitch day last month. When we met last time, I was giving you a little bit of a preview of what recruiter pitch day would be like. We had a wonderful event. We had 4 different organizations that joined us. We had CrowdStrike, CypherTech, MAR for Cyber, and US Digital Corps. On the live event, we had 500 plus attendees. And we had fantastic Q&A where people were able to connect and ask questions with our presenters. We will continue to have recruiter pitch days throughout the year. Typically, they're in the spring and fall seasons, but we're hoping to increase those as we get more companies interested in sharing about their internships and entry-level roles, and really just sharing about their company culture, so students can feel invigorated to be able to connect, network, and keep in mind some companies as they get closer to graduating or moving into the space of actually stepping into a cyber career. So thank you for everyone who shared information about Recruiter Pitch Day. It is our hope that we are opening doors for students to be able to get into entry-level jobs within cyber, as well as connecting with internship opportunities. So thank you again, and we will definitely be sharing information about more Recruiter Pitch Days as we have those coming up in the future. Something similar that we have that will be coming up next week is a partner pitch day. This is a little bit of a twist on the Recruiter Pitch Day event. It's going to be taking place next Wednesday, March 13th at 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. We will be recording the session. And it's a special webinar where our NCL nonprofit partner organizations are going to be sharing about their missions, their programming, ways to get involved, ways to become members. This is open to everyone. So even if you're a coach and you're an educator, possibly you're still a professional in the workforce as well as teaching and coaching, this is open to anyone who would really like to advocate or be an ally or be a member to the organizations that support the NCL. So the organizations that are going to be participating are WESUS, the Diana Initiative, Cyber.org, Cyberjitsu, Women's Society of Cyberjitsu, and Black Girls Hack. So those are just a few of the representatives of the nonprofit organizations that we work with for NCL events. And we think it would be a wonderful event for everyone to join. We will go ahead and thank you, Franz. We have the link in the chat as well as the QR code. Once again, this is open to everybody. And while some of these organizations may be more female aligned, absolutely everyone is welcomed to be an advocate or an ally. So please make sure that you spread this information out to your students or for yourself. And once again, we will be having that also as a replay option on our YouTube channel post-event. So don't worry if you happen to not be able to join us live, we'll be able to have that as a resource in the future. So yeah, that's all I have to share right now, but please feel free to ask me questions in the chat about this event or other events that we have. And David, back to you.
All right. So yeah, so that's coming up the day after tomorrow. not next week. I think maybe we need a daylight savings time.
Sorry. It's
Maybe
not next
daylight
week. It
savings
is
times
this week.
changed.
There's a
Coming
lot
up
going
sooner than
on.
you thought.
Sorry, it's a lot sooner. I missed a complete week. Thank you so much. No, yes, it's
Sure.
in 3 days actually. Yeah, thanks, David, for catching that. It is
Sure.
absolutely this week on Wednesday. Hope to see you there.
No problem. And one other thing too, just when we're talking about organizations, some of these groups do have conferences. So if you are heading to any of these conferences, we'll be there as well. So we'll be at WESIS. What else, Emily? In
So
terms
we
of-
will actually be at the WESIS conference in April. We are going to be supporting the Diana Initiative conference in Las Vegas in August. We are going to be hosting a CTF event at the cyber.org conference called EdCon, and that will be in June in Tampa. We're also going to be supporting a CTF at Cyber JitsuCon, which is going to be taking place in June in Northern Virginia area. And we are hoping to support a Black Girls Hack at SquadCon in Vegas in August. So we also have many on-site CTFs that we're going to be providing some support for all of these organizations.
Great. So if you're going to any of those, hopefully we'll see you there. All right, next up we have already our discussion time. So again, this is a time for when we're going to put everybody into breakout rooms. This is a great time to meet your fellow coaches, share information, and it is timely because we do have the very first game coming up. So we have the practice game coming up at the end of this month. So the last week of this month of March is the practice game. And just to kick it off to share, one thing that I do with my students for the practice game is, since it is a practice game, I kind of treat it somewhat as a team game in that I allow them to, help each other out. And I feel like that's a really good way to kind of bridge them into from the gym where they're able to get, a walkthrough of how to solve the challenges to the individual game where obviously they don't get any help and they don't have a walkthrough of how to solve the challenges. This is kind of like a nice little middle ground where students can start seeing what the actual competition is going to look like, but still be able to do the phone a friend and maybe even work on some of those practice game challenges together. So that's going to be that's my kickoff of the discussion. What we'd like to do now is open up breakout rooms and also see if we have anybody that would be willing to help lead a breakout room, taking notes. We again have free coffee, so if anyone wants a coffee for taking the time to help lead a breakout room and share information, put your name in chat. And again, here are the resources. Franz just posted the link to the notes. So we have notes within Google Drive. So we do want you to, as a team, as a group leader, take notes in that breakout room so we can, at the end, share out what we discussed across all the breakout rooms, just so we can make sure that we have all the information shared with the entire group. Let's go ahead and start with room 1. Oh, cool. Thank you, Angela, for sharing your screen. Appreciate that. Hey, and look, we got Discord open too. I think Angela gets 2 coffees for this one.
Yeah, so our group had 3 people. We had Daryl, Professor Rogers, and Josh. And some of the things that we discussed was Daryl is a newbie, so this is his first time going around, and he's looking for all the resources that he could possibly have. And he's looking for resources. Professor Roger uses things like PicoCTF and CTF Gym to give as practice to help students prepare for CTFs, because most of the people that participate are fairly new to the CTFs. I personally use resources from the Canvas shell that was developed by the NCL, and then a hodgepodge of collection of tools that we've created or have used through past seasons. However, our resources are not maintained very well, and we're looking at various solutions, whether or not we use the educational version of Notion, because we get a special account being with the .edu. So we are looking at a way to organize our resources. We also use Discord for our student club as well. And then we were just kind of talking about some, we do have some tools that we can share. Either I can post these in the Discord or however these notes will be given out to others. We do have some tools, but then we also were just kind of talking about some of the frustrations that students have during the open gym and getting frustrated on the tools that they don't know how to use, and some of the modules that they're just not exposed to. And then emphasizing the need of critical thinking during CTFs and how that translates into the workforce, and also good note taking during a CTF and a report writing, because that also translates very well into the workplace, because many of the people will complete a CTF challenge, but they don't know how they actually did it. And they don't spend a lot of time reflecting upon it. And that's also where some of the learning takes place. And then that's basically what we discussed in room 1.
Great, thank you so much, Angela. And just to point out too, on the right side of her screen right there, you can see Discord. So I did post a link to what you see on the left-hand side. So a link to Angela's group's Google Doc can be accessed by clicking on breakout room number 1. And then the link that you see above that, I'll let Ron talk about that one. I don't want to, he was the group leader, but I did post a link to the NCL Canvas shell. Ron, did you want to share your screen? Or did you want me to do that for you?
Yeah, go ahead if you have it.
Yep, I'll go ahead and share.
And so I have the unenviable task of going after Angela, who has the perfect notes. But we had a somewhat less verbose, I think, conversation. But we actually got started on Canvas Commons actually even before David jumped in. But then thankfully he jumped into our group, so we got to have a very rich conversation about the Canvas Commons, and basically talked about the use of it as just directly pulling into your course, using all of it, or drawing it in and then using parts and cannibalizing it and whatnot. So lots of great ways to enjoy that. And really kind of helps give some structure, especially if you're new to NCL. It's a way to see some structure that has emanated from somebody who's very experienced in it. So we also had a little tutorial on how to do that. We also talked about using student clubs as a way of teaching, supporting students, weekly meetings and that sort of thing. So students who are learning this in the classroom have an outlet, beyond the classroom where they can go learn, or also they can be the ones teaching. So I really appreciated the insight that Angela had. Students do these things and they don't seem to know what they did. And which is one of the reasons what we have these workshops. We want students to teach what they did, because they oftentimes have to go back and do it 5 times over and then really kind of think through those steps before they can then turn around and teach it. And that's sometimes, I think, the greatest learning they get is that process of reflecting and building on top of what they've done. So we got into talking about some books. I don't think I forgot to put the Cengage in there. I put in Zybook and Coursera. I don't think we had any strong advocates for any of the books, but we did have a discussion about books that could be used, but none that had a real advocate for them. And then we got chatting a little bit about Kali Linux. It's offered free in a hosted version from cyber.org, but really had a discussion around perhaps standing up some kind of a server on campus to give Linux instances with Kali and whatnot as a way for students to learn, in part to make it much easier in the classroom and easier in student workshops and those sorts of things, where you can have a very consistent environment. You can create a set of directions that work. And it's not going to work differently for somebody who has a big, powerful computer, or that student has a Mac, or that student has grandma's old XP machine. It's, you can have a very consistent user experience, which means from a teaching standpoint, you can have a whole group of people kind of follow with you and, put together some very, compelling, kind of walkthroughs of the technology and whatnot. So I think that pretty much sums up what we did, but I really want Angela's list because I want to go swipe all the cool things off that.
Great. And I did post that in Discord, so can jump in.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. And Angel, I'll pull yours up.
Cool. All right. So I think the general consensus for our meeting was just, all right, getting the engagement is probably like the key part for before even the CTF starts, right? So one of the things that we were mentioning is that including these CTFs into classes and having like a minimum required of points, and not just, oh, get like 200 points for the whole CTF, but maybe 100 points per category to kind of get them more well-rounded in every single category, right? And then to get that really true engagement, it's kind of let them be / just kind of give the resources and let them get to it. Linda was mentioning that she had a class that it didn't work out. She was like, here's NCL, try it out. And then it was kind of forced, right? But take, for example, let's say like there's a computer science club. She threw them NCL and they went off on it, right? They were doing it like they loved it, right? So I think the key thing is just kind of providing the resources and kind of being like, hey, if you like it, cool. If not, then eventually we'll get to a state at the school, right? That where they like to participate in CTFs and things like that, right? So in terms of the really cool resources, I would say PicoCTF has always been a solid one. That's what our school uses. TryHackMe is things that is more so for like if students, like to use it on their own time, right? The Cyber Skyline workshops are always, a banger, right? Especially all the videos that you guys reference of like, hey, here's some more resources that you guys can get into. And then for like challenges where it's like more like PON system administration, I would say the nice challenge is super nice for that. Then the NetDev group, that was something that was brought up because I think it has multiple courses inside that. And then D4 Diva, that's the one I like a ton because it's one resource for also multiple resources, kind of like that NetDev group one. And this is always a good start to kind of find even more resources because as you get involved in the communities inside of the website, you'll find that, hey, there's, subgroups for, things as, like incident response, forensics, and as deep as you want to go, right? And then in terms of how we kind of organize resources, well, we just provide either through classes, right, through the organizations. And then once students graduate, well, we say, hey, you can still come on and play on because most universities allow you to keep your email for a while. And as well as if they stay involved with the student organizations, there's never going to be a reason to tell them, no, you can't be with us, right? And yeah, I would say that was generally the discussion.
Very good. Thanks so much for that recap. And yeah, I also rely on my alumni as well. So we have a Discord server for our security club. And I know I have students that graduated 5-6 years ago, and they're still active on that Discord server, which is great because then my current students can reach out to them and say, hey, tell me how to get a job in cyber, because most of them that are still on do have current jobs in cybersecurity. So yeah, that's great to have that alumni resource that you can reach out to and again do that bridge between current students and current students that are currently in cybersecurity. I went ahead and posted these resources in the chat, but I'm also going to right now post them on Discord as well. Hopefully that'll encourage people to get back onto Discord. So I just pasted all the links from Angel's talk in Discord. Franz, if you had a sec just to put you on the spot, would you mind putting that link to Discord back into chat just in case people need to go back and want to sign back up for Discord if they haven't yet?
Yes, of course. Give me 1 second. I'll post that in the chat.
Okay, cool. So stay tuned for that. So if you aren't signed up for the NCL Discord server, we will put the link to that in the chat in just a moment. Other than that,
Is the content you're putting in the coaches corner?
yeah, exactly. So it'll be a link to get you to join the NCL server. And in that server, there's the Coaches Corner channel. So that'll get you right to joining the Coaches channel.
David, can I make a quick comment?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, one thing, I'm concerned about the CTFs and when it's taught at the university level is that it becomes a school project. And the community part of it doesn't get expressed. CTFs have nothing to do with universities. It's a community driven, right? People that work in the field, they put these all together, right? And it's driven by that. And I express to my students that this is a community thing. You need to be part of a community.
Yeah.
Right. This is not for school. We're introducing it to you in the school, but it has nothing to do with the school. This is the community of cybersecurity, right? And you need to start getting involved in those communities that build these CTFs. Like you said, you have a Discord server that, they need to be part of that outside community.
Yeah.
Right? I that's the bigger message, right? Like, these CTFs help you, but you're also doing this part of a community of other professionals and people in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you can, point to some of these community resources that we have, maybe that'll help, sell that point. Because yeah, one way to get a job in cybersecurity is, to meet people. And one way to do that is through NCL and our communities. But then also, things that NCL puts on too, right? So we have several talks where we have partners that are actually hiring in cybersecurity. We'll come and talk to students as well. So yeah, I agree. I think it's good for them to see the concept that it's not really just part of the class. It's its own community as well. Thanks for bringing that up, Roger. And I think we saw another question too before we go. There is a link or there was a question about getting to the Coaches Corner in the NCL Discord. So I know we're right at the top of the hour here, but let me go ahead and I'll share my screen just so you guys can see it. So here's NCL, the NCL community. And then on the left here, you can see once you get into NCL, you'll see the Coaches Corner.
I think to see the Coaches Corner, you have to first go to the roles channel and then select the button to indicate that you are a coach.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So it's under the start here. Yeah. And then you press the button for coach.
Got it. Thanks, Franz. So maybe that's why you're not seeing the Coaches Corner yet. So make sure you click on Coach. Okay, so again, thanks everyone for the great meeting. Really appreciate it. We will be back again on the second Monday in April. And we will see you then. Again, remember, NCL is coming up. We've got just a few more weeks left before the practice game, and then we jump right into the individual game and team game. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next month.